Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Knocked Conscious. Today I spoke with Lee and Scott of Off-Stage.com apparel company. They're a music apparel company. It was a great conversation. Here it is. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Knocked Conscious, gentlemen.
Hello.
We
It's
have
exciting.
Offstage podcast. Tell me about this. Welcome, Scott, Lee, Scott. No alphabetical order, whatever, no particular order. How have you guys
All right.
been?
We've been good. We've been busy since the last time
Yeah,
we
tell me
talked.
about it.
Biggest thing is we've kind of split the podcast and our brand in half. So Offstage is the music apparel brand. So that's our whole shindig now. The podcast is just fun because we get to talk to people like you and a lot of musical artists and people in the industry and just talk about music. But our primary focus is definitely making music apparel more accessible.
That's awesome, man. I saw that. I saw a little bit of the change in the website. So
Yeah.
I'll put all your stuff up. So yeah. So tell me about this transition. How did you guys initially start with a concept, and then how did it change from where it started to where it's kind of morphed into?
It's funny because we were sitting down like a couple weeks ago, and we needed to come up with a mission statement, and we thought like, oh, that'd be easy. Obviously, we're just doing what do we do, and that's when we started thinking like, maybe we should really like, what do we do? What is Offstage? And then I mean, we had been selling merch on the side, but it just seemed smarter to make that our main focus and then have the podcasts and all the social media stuff be sort of like a vessel, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's sort of what happened. And then we got inventory for the first time, and Lee came down to Bloomington and we sold a bunch of stuff for the Eclipse. So that was
Yeah.
super
Very
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Very
We
cool.
had a good
So
start.
tell me about that. So basically, Offstage, I know you've got a mascot, and then you've got some other apparel as well. Tell me about what you sold down in Bloomington and what you made and what inventory you got.
So our main logo is a guy named Spin. You can see him on the website. But yeah, Spin, he's a walking vinyl record, which is really cool. And then we have a lot of other characters that kind of play into our brand as well that are inspired by music or just, I don't know, fun things. Another one's Scratch. He's a chicken with a hat and his belly's a record, vinyl record.
Very cool.
But yeah, the main thing was music apparel we found a problem, there's either t-shirts and hoodies, whatever, with album covers or solo album singles on them or whatever, but there's never. And then on the opposite end, there's like the band mom shirts, or like my son plays violin shirts on Etsy, and there's nothing in between that's just cool, everyday, nice stuff to wear. So that's what we were trying to fill the gap with our.
Yeah, so kind of like you're thinking about, it's a way for a person in music to share that they're into music without it being like it has to be the Stones or it has to be.
It doesn't have to be specific.
Yeah, it's just the music in general.
Think about I've got a Grateful Dead shirt on today.
I could just tell the bear. I was like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. It's my favorite band. And I saw a ton of people wearing Grateful Dead shirts at the Eclipse, actually. And every time I ask, like, what's your favorite song? They're like, who's Grateful Dead? And if you're into music, you shouldn't have to. I mean, it's everybody's thing, whether you like the style that comes with music or the actual sound or the lyrics, the singing, whatever. You should be able to enjoy music without being criticized on what you're wearing. I can't tell you how many times I've seen videos of people walking around and it's like, if you don't know one song by the band, you're a fake fan, you're a poser. It's like, whatever, they're enjoying it. So
yeah, I like that because you guys come from different music, like, or music taste, right? So kind of it helps as an icebreaker. Is like, oh, I see a record on a shirt or I see a logo that looks familiar to something musical. Is like, oh, who are you into?
Yeah.
So it's more of a conversational starter versus like almost in a way a conversation ender, like, oh, you're into Zeppelin, or you know what I mean, or where people have different genres and different tastes.
Right.
That's cool. I like that. So how did you guys come into that, actually kind of morphing into that from, because it was a totally different thing just a couple months ago. It's kind of cool watching that change.
Well, Scott can definitely talk more about this. But I think the biggest thing is, when you're starting a business or a brand or anything, change things early. Do what works early. You get 3 years, 5 years down the line, it's way harder to rebrand. It's way harder to change things up. But I think we noticed that when we were selling in Bloomington, and Scott definitely noticed it more than me at first when we were trying to explain what we were doing. So I'll let him talk about that.
Are you talking about like when we were trying to like get people to come to our table?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That was a train wreck. I wish we had video of that, because there was a good like 2 or 3 hours of, like, when you're selling on the street, you gotta sell. You gotta get people to come over. Like,
you need that calling out and be like, hey, come on over to the booth.
I'm not gonna come over. We had a Darth Vader with our shirt on him, like a 3-foot tall Darth Vader.
Yeah,
even that's
cool.
not enough to get people.
Right.
So you really gotta like speak out, and then we got a lot of people putting their head down or trying to avoid us, which I get that. But yeah, we'd get their attention sometimes, and then I think Lee once, he's like, we finally got someone's attention, and we're like, yeah, we're Offstage, and they're like, oh, what's that? And Lee's like, well, we do music. And the people were like,
music
as
people,
they were walking away, like it was just a train wreck.
Some people thought we were a band. Some people thought we were.
Most people thought we were a band.
Right.
Which is cool, I guess. Bands are
awesome. I mean, the name sounds cool for a band name like Offstage. All right, cool.
But yeah, it was just basically multiple hours of us trying to figure out, like, I think
how to talk.
Yeah, at one point it kind of sounded like we were a label. We went through so many different identities that day, just trying to figure it out.
That's really cool, though, and
we got our name out there.
Yeah, people are definitely gonna remember it. Those confused guys with the Darth Vader.
And we got
cool. Is it just offstage.com? Is that what's the website address, just to say?
So it's off-staged.com.
Okay, off-stage.com. Cool.
Yeah.
And I'll put it up again for you.
Yeah, we're working
That's really cool.
And Google. That's hard. Have you ever dealt with SEOs, search engines?
I wish I did, because I have the content. I don't have the searches.
Yeah.
So like if I figured that out in any way, I'm sure something would be better with this thing than what I've got going, to be honest.
That's what we're trying to figure out. It is
hard.
Puzzle.
I know people who do it, and they charge a premium, and I know why they charge a premium for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So I've never gotten in that. What have you learned about it so far, and when can I hire you guys to do mine?
I think
you're gonna be like you're gonna be a t-shirt apparel. You're gonna be a music apparel / IT consulting company.
Actually, you know what? At the Eclipse, we had a couple people that came up to us on the side, and they were like, "Hey, I run my own brand. I run my own company doing this or that or whatever. You guys seem to have the content down, or like the technical skills at least. Can I hire you to run my social media or my website?" And we were like, oh, geez, we really screwed up at this point, because that is not what we do.
No.
Yeah, I know.
But what we've learned that everything you do is 10 times harder than you assume it is.
Yeah.
And the technical skills take a lot of work. I think that's a big thing too. We use Squarespace. Do you have a website?
I do, but it's not. It's just a redirect to my Podbean. I don't actually have a website, but I do have a landing page. Like notconscious.com or whatever.
Yes.
But tell me about Squarespace, man. Tell me about it. Yeah.
It's very intuitive, very user friendly, easy to find what you need, the basics and stuff. But it's definitely like, building a website, you're going to have code. You have to know how to use that a little bit. And that's, we got through the surface level of things, like homepage, buttons, and shopping carts, and payments, and all that, shipping, mailing lists, all that. But yeah, then you dig into the code, and it's like, I don't know. You have to connect.
Overwhelming.
Yes. Scott and I just started this like a week and a half ago. He found a really good free page. What was it called, Scott?
Oh, he's frozen.
He is frozen. That's kind of scary.
That's kind of funny. All right. So anyway, we'll get back to Scott when he jumps back in here, I think.
Yeah. So Scott found a free SEO page that teaches you how to optimize your website for people to find it. And it's literally like, it goes all the way down to how you name your files on your website.
Wow.
So like, say you wanted to take your Not Conscious logo.
Welcome
there
back.
He is.
Sorry about that.
No worries, man. Lee was just explaining a little bit about the SEO and how challenging it is. So.
Oh, that'll take a while.
Yeah. So I was talking about how if you want to take your Not Conscious logo, for instance, and it's a file, right? If you just throw it on your website, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to optimize your website at all to get clicks or get seen. So what you have to do is you take that and you rename the file with optimized keywords based around what you do. So, and that's another thing. You can't be too broad because then you'll be in the big pack on Google and you're never going to get seen. But you can't be too specific because then nobody's searching for it. So, Not Conscious, podcast, these are like keywords that you could use, right? Podcast is going to be way too broad, but Not Conscious might be too specific. So you have to go in and find something that determines who you are and what you are, and then you need to narrow it down to about 3 words, and then you name every single file on your website like that, and it might boost your click possibility by like
right. Yeah, the click-through rate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with all the terms. I'm just not good at actually doing. I don't have the skills to optimize. So, well, hopefully I'll have to bend you guys here then sometime to do that. So,
we're learning.
You're gonna have an IT company before you know it. You just didn't know it yet. It's like Geek Squad 2.0.
A month from now, who knows? That could be the next step.
So, did you guys have an eclipse party? Did you guys have the full eclipse or something near you, or?
Yeah, the total eclipse came through Bloomington.
You had the total. All right.
Yes.
So were you guys out for that, or?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we got to see it, and everyone in the world was there, seemingly. It was pretty it was like a movie. I had to move my car because I'm not sure.
You went to get sunscreen because we didn't expect it to be hot.
Yeah, I burned super easy, so I had to go get sunscreen. And this was like T-minus 10 minutes to the eclipse. So I'm thinking like, I'll probably be fine. And then I quickly drove home, grabbed some sunscreen, drove back. And the spot I had, which I thought was perfect, I guess everyone else thought it was perfect as well, because it was some guy was pulling into it just as I got back. So I'm like, shit. I go to the parking garage. The guy in front's like, look, man, I don't think I'm allowed to let you in here. And like the sky's getting darker and darker. And I'm like, please let me in. I'll be in and out. I just got to park real quick and go see my friend. He's like, all right, come in. So I parked really quick, ran outside, took my sunglasses off because I couldn't see anything. I mean, it's almost pitch black at that point. And just walking down the street that's usually like filled with people like running back or like walking back and forth. Everyone's just stopped, just staring up at the sky. And it was surreal. I mean,
it really was.
It sounds dumb because it's just going dark for a little bit, but it's I don't know. It was weird.
It was like comfortably eerie, if that makes sense. Have you ever listened to Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd's album?
Yeah, for sure.
That is how it felt, at least in my opinion. I was also a little biased because I was listening to Eclipse by Pink Floyd.
That'll do it.
I don't know.
So it's a good time though, good crowd, good people, and
it was awesome.
I love that.
That's cool.
Have you ever seen
Yeah,
the
I
movie
can imagine.
Asteroid City?
Did animals come out? Did any nocturnal animals come out for a little bit, or anything change for? They said some weird stuff might happen with some like night creatures and stuff. They might come out.
You know
and
what?
be
I
like,
had a
"Crap."
ton of bugs that like fell out of the tree on me. Did you have that happen, Scott?
I think that was just you, or maybe they hit you first because you're like a foot taller than me. That could be it.
There you
True.
go. The umbrella.
But that was about it. We were in a city setting, so
Okay, not too bad.
Le-
Yeah, I
less
heard some really cool things. So I didn't get to see this one, but it is a pretty surreal experience when you just absolutely everything getting just dimmer and dimmer and then pitch black.
Yes.
yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Have you ever seen Asteroid City, the movie?
I did watch that. Yeah.
So you know when the alien comes down from like the ladder and everybody's sitting around watching the asteroid and then comes down, picks it up and leaves?
Oh yeah.
They were in Indianapolis and Bloomington. They were selling tickets to all of the stadiums that were outside
Okay.
for people to watch the eclipse. And I was just like, this is, and if you remember Asteroid City, it's a very strange, it's peculiar.
Yeah, it's one of those movies, just like, was it Moonrise Kingdom, right? Same guy.
Yeah.
Royal Tenenbaums too, right? Isn't the same?
Yeah, I think so.
Wes Anderson? Is it? I think it's Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think so. But the Twitter world would correct us. So.
There you go. Perfect. But I thought it was just like a mirror image almost. We were all just sitting in stadiums or like pausing exactly what we were doing during the day and watch this moon go in front of a star, just like this alien comes down and grabs an asteroid in Asteroid City. So
yeah, exactly. It's crazy, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really neat. So it's funny you talked about pivoting earlier, right? You talked about doing it early. So it's a funny story. My girlfriend and I are going to see Smokey Robinson next week.
Okay.
Wednesday. So like, you get that one of those bucket list type things. Like I saw Wayne Newton in Vegas, but I saw him like real late. I didn't get to see him when he was like super spry. He's older.
Yeah.
So it was like, it wasn't the best experience compared to what he used to be. Right. But it's like, I can't say no. Right. So Smokey's going to be at the Venetian, I think. So I kind of begged my girlfriend, like, we got to go see Smokey. And there's this documentary called Hitsville, USA. And Smokey Robinson wrote the song Shop Around. And to your point, Shop Around had been on the charts for like 5 weeks. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, Barry Gordy calls up Smokey at like 2 a.m., 3 in the morning. He's like, hey, Smoke, it's Barry. You got to come. We got to change Shop Around. It's not working. I got it in my head. He's like, all right, cool. I'll see you in the morning. He goes, no, we got to come back now. They end up going down the studio right away. They call up everybody. They end up re-recording it. And the new one is the one that makes it. It's just that extra oomph, So It's like, it's funny how even though the song was already out and gaining traction, they still changed the song, which is such a rarity. You usually don't change a song once you've released it. But to your point, it's kind of like you do it early.
Right.
So what kind of successes have you had with that? Like, what kind of other conversations have you had with it, or what has this led to for you guys?
Oh, what do we have, Scott? We got interviews coming out every single week now.
Nice.
Till like the end of May. And they've already been recorded, all of them, and edited. So we're just pushing them out when the artist is pushing out their music most of the time.
Oh, very cool.
It worked well like that.
Yeah. So is it like when they release a new thing, you just have that podcast to go along with it, kind of couple along with it, or?
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know how it worked out, but it worked out just like that. It wasn't planned much. We have a couple other podcasts talking about Daft Punk, and Beyonce is going to be this week as a tease.
Okay.
But yeah, and you know what? Daft Punk actually did really well, which we were kind of surprised about. I think it's just because they're, split, and they might come back together for Tron and all that kind of stuff. That was fun to talk about.
Yeah.
What else we got, Scott?
Daft Punk's pretty cool because they talk about splitting, right, and then coming back together, but like they've got this weird following that it's like no one follows them, but everybody follows them or listens to them or something.
Yeah.
It's a very weird. It's a weird thing.
They know
Yeah,
about
totally.
them in some way or some capacity.
Yeah, I think the Pharrell Get Funky really put them on the map. I mean, it's just like such a just rhythmic song that everybody's got.
Uh-huh.
Get Lucky, is it? Get Lucky,
Yeah.
Get Funky, something like that. Yeah.
Get lucky.
So,
Get lucky.
yeah.
And their helmets, it makes them so elusive.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like aren't they still not, do we know who they are? Did they take them off or something at some point? Or
Yes, I think we do know their identities.
Okay.
We should probably know this with how we covered them. We talked more about pretty strictly about the music they've been in rather than who they are as a band.
Okay.
And like I don't know if you've seen Tron Legacy, but that's one of my favorite movies, and I love
Tron is
about
my favorite movie of all times, my friend.
Which one?
Wow.
Tron Legacy
Well,
or the original?
I know I have both of them on Blu-ray, so I watched them. I mean, the first one would be just as good if the technology was the same.
True.
But
yeah, the plot's
Legacy
great.
is just absolutely gorgeous.
It looks
It's,
so nice.
stunning.
Are you ready for the next one?
I hope so. What's it called? Do you already know the name? Ultimatum or something? Ultimum? Or
I think it is Ultimatum.
something like that.
And yeah, so supposedly Daft Punk's supposed to come back for it.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Yeah, that's when that was in the bar, right?
Yes.
They were playing, they had
yeah.
the big fight, whatever the fight scene, and they're just
they're just sitting up there while they're fighting.
Yeah.
And they got blown up.
Man, that's such a beautiful, God, such a pretty. I can't explain how beautiful that movie is.
It really is.
And the lead woman in that, she was also in that Timberlake movie, right? In Time. I think she was like the lead woman in that.
I don't think I've seen that, but
that was a pretty good movie.
She is a prominent actor or actress.
Okay. Yeah. And obviously Jeff Bridges,
and
it's always good. So are you guys into like Big Lebowski and stuff? Or obviously you're younger, so I grew up with that, but I didn't get into it as much as a lot of people that I knew got into it.
I am not a Big Lebowski fan. I've never really tried it out.
Okay. But Jeff Bridges kind of is a weird way bridges gap like of generations.
True.
So you know him from Legacy. What other things would you say like Bridges is like big in your generation?
I think didn't he play the Giver in The Giver? Have you seen The Giver, the movie?
Or I've not seen that. No, I've not seen that.
I read the book. I never saw it.
Yeah, it was a book we all had to read. I don't know if it's across the country, but Indiana for sure. That everybody reads is like an 8th grader or something. And oh man, it's a movie kind of like Asteroid City, or a book, where it's just peculiar. But it's more of a dystopian/utopian world where everything's confined and one person in the community has to hold all the pain from humans' past history.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds intense. When did that come out? I'm going to have to look into that movie. I'm going to have to look into that.
The book came out a while ago, probably like before 2000. And the movie came out in like 2015.
Oh, okay.
I love the book.
Yeah.
It was a very good book.
Yes.
Cool. I just got into the 3 Body Problem.
What's
the
that?
one on Netflix. It's the one where it's a sci-fi book. I think it was written in China, and somebody in Asia wrote it, and it's been translated now into English. And now it's about it's like a sci-fi thriller where there's another world, but they're coming here because we send a signal out, and it talks about their world. And the 3 Body Problem is they have 3 suns, and they can't predict like their revolution, how they revolve around each other, because you can't do that. Mm-hmm. So the civilization would either be destroyed or frozen or get burned up, or it would be just all different kinds of cataclysmic events depending on if it had 3 suns in the sky or none or one, kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting. It's on Netflix, but it is a little bit more about them coming here. So it's kind of an interesting like invasion kind of movie. So cool, man. So how you guys like in school? How's everything going with you with that?
Well, I mean, you're in Arizona, right? So
yeah,
March Madness was just there. Did you visit the city? Did you visit Phoenix at all? Check out the events?
Yes, we had date night that Friday, and we had everything planned. And I talked to you about my psychic stuff, right?
Yes.
Crazy story. So Friday night, like we do like early date night so we can get like happy hour drinks and then go out or something. So we've got the whole night planned. We know that the Suns are in town. We know that it's March Madness, but there actually was a music festival too. So there was even more stuff there than crazy. So
wow,
we leave the house at like 4:15. 4:30, something like that. So we were planning to get to our place by like 5:30. So, after parking and walking or whatever. So we get there like 4:45, 5 o'clock. We're looking and there is not a spot. And I'm like, we didn't know it was going to be this crazy because it's hardly ever this crazy. Sometimes it's busy, but it's hardly ever this crazy. So we start driving around. So we are like in central Phoenix and we're driving around for about a half hour. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go uptown. Uptown is like a section that's just north of us and like a little bit over. So you don't have to know exactly where it's at, but it's like, let's get out of this area and go to this other area. So we go to another area. We get there, happy hour till 7. We're like, sweet, it's only 5:30. So we start happy hour. We get a drink. We're like, hey, let's go book a reservation right down the street for 6:30. So my girlfriend puts it in. We're like, okay, we walk. We stayed parked at the bar. We walk down. They're like, we don't have a reservation for you. Like, no, we put it in. And my girlfriend's looking at it. She's like, I didn't hit enter. I'm like,
oh,
okay, that sucks. So now it's like, so we started, it's like 4:30, right? So now it's like 6:30. And like, we haven't done anything and we've planned everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we go, let's just go back to the bar. We'll hit another drink before 7 o'clock happy hour ends, right? So we go back to the bar. So like, think about the places we've gone, the time we've taken now. So we get there, we get another drink, and we look at each other. She's like, let's just go home. Let's just go home. Let's like call it a night. This just obviously didn't work out. I'm like, all right, we'll just, pick up something on the way home or whatever. So we go to head home, and I'm going to make a left, and something pops into my head to make a right. Of course it does, right? So I turn right. So we're on a street where on the way home, there's a restaurant that my girlfriend really likes. But I don't say anything to her. It pops into my head to go to this place. I have to go to this exact place. There's like 15 restaurants in that area. We go to all these different ones, but something tells me to go to this one, right? So I'm like, cool. I go up, I turn left. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I didn't mention it to you, but we're going to go to this bar. We go in, and my buddy is sitting with his wife. And this is a guy who I met through a psychic connection, through an empath meeting. So I drove all through the city of Phoenix, went to like 10 different places, and the timing and all the stuff, and I still end up exactly meeting up with this dude that I hadn't seen in like 3 years. And it was all like pops into my head to go there. Can't explain it. Weirdest thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Did
the
you
night
guys
was
end up
ruined, but
staying?
it was a
Having a
fun
good
ending
day?
of the story. What's that?
Did you guys end up staying, having a good dinner?
We did, but they didn't know I was there because like I haven't talked to him in a while. So but
That makes sense.
Down on the down low. Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
weird because I walked in and I'm like, crap, that's why I was told to come here. It's like
Yeah.
one of those weird ones. So I was like, I wasn't sure. But he's a good dude. It's just like we hadn't talked in a while, it's kind of like
That'd be hard to
things
explain.
kind of fall. Yeah, they kind of fall away over time, but it was kind of funny. It was kind of like, oh, I guess I had to just see him to make sure everything was good, kind of thing. But once again, it's one of those weird things how it just kind of organically unfolded and still ended up with people that, that we knew.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but to that end, it was pretty fun. Do you guys follow the March Madness stuff?
Yeah, Purdue made it to Final 2 of the championship. It was
They
a hard
did.
game. I think we were a little scared going in.
Yeah, UConn was destined to win. Like
They definitely were. I mean, it's kind of like Scott will get this reference, but like Carmel winning every single state for swimming.
Yes.
We used to both swim in Carmel. If you're familiar with Carmel, Indiana, they have won for like 38 years now, Scott.
Oh, geez.
In a row. Yeah. It's
In a row. Yeah.
In a
So,
row.
bad.
There's something about, and maybe we could talk about this. There's something about the winning mindset where you do it enough, where it goes and it keeps going and it does not stop. And you got to get comfortable in that mindset. And I think you get like Purdue, for instance, we haven't been to the Final Four even since the 50s or 60s. So you're not, if a team goes in like that, they're not comfortable. They need to do it a few times before they actually it's either you get lucky or you get good at being in that mindset. I don't know. I fully believe that if you get into winning mindset, you can keep on that track. I'd be really curious to see when, like, for instance, Carmel Swimming, Scott, if they lost one year, how would they come back from that? You know, because they're in that winning mindset, and then something throws them off. Do they come back?
I think they'd fire the coach immediately. I mean, just the expectation's so high at this point that, yeah, they would just might kill the coach even, honestly.
It's an interesting look. Well, it's funny because you look at like a Ronda Rousey, right? Like a UFC, and she was dominant until somebody beat her.
Right.
Second somebody beat her, it wasn't necessarily that she didn't feel like she could win, but other people started believing they could beat her.
Okay.
So it was like almost like a double, right? It's like a double cultural thing. To your point, like you can ride the momentum of success, right? You can win and win and win, and that does become a cultural thing. And you can lose here and there, you know, bits, as long as the momentum swing is still that winning, right? But sometimes when you lose that, it's like a hiccup, and that momentum goes away. Gaining that back is really hard.
It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. You know, the guy that conquered like most of the Middle East and
Khan or Alexander the Great?
Alexander the Great, yes. You know, he went so long and so hard, and then eventually he came to it one stop, and he was not able to overcome it or set it on the other end. Maybe that's just human demise. But then you look at like Napoleon. He got exiled twice and still managed to take over his own country twice.
Well,
after.
Look at Chamberlain. Was it Chamberlain? It's World War II, right? Yes, not Chamberlain. The guy after Chamberlain, the Darvish Tower guy. Yeah, Churchill. Thank you.
Okay.
Jesus. Yeah, Churchill. So I don't know if you guys know this, but he was like a general, or he was like some command of some army thing.
He was the prime minister of Europe, or of England.
Of England, yeah. But in World War I, though, he was in charge of an army thing, and it was about going through that strait where Italy meets. If you look, it's like a bottleneck, and they had to commit like 70,000 troops. And it was like, you're either going to all die or you might get through. And if you get through, it's like all risk, all reward kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he made that decision. And like tens of thousands of British soldiers died. And he got fired. And he ended up becoming the prime minister again. I have no idea how he recaptured his after that one. Because like in a democracy, when you lose something like that, you usually don't gain that kind of back. You usually kind of get ostracized, but somehow he was able to stay in it.
You know, this is something I just watched on Rogan. Have you guys seen Hitler's speeches in English yet? Scott, have you seen those?
No, I don't typically watch them.
I know. Well, I never would choose to normally, but Rogan was covering it, and I was like, oh, that's really weird to see that, because he was talking about how, you know, Germany had been in economic collapse, and he had sacrificed a lot to help the German people, so elect him to help him out, right? I was like, that's something that somebody is doing right now in our country that seems very, very real. It's weird how that repeats. And when you watch it in your own native language, it's even, I don't know, just kind of weird to see.
So my grandfather was a Nazi soldier.
Okay.
So my grandfather fought in World War II on the German side. Then that his family, my grandfather and my mother's side, became East Germany. So they served under Hitler, and then they served under Stalin.
Yeah.
And then they escaped East Germany in 1953 before the wall went up, and then they got to America. So like literally my parents served under Hitler, Stalin, and like Eisenhower. Maybe after Eisenhower. It might have been right before Kennedy. So between Eisenhower and Kennedy, unless Eisenhower did go up to Kennedy. I'd have to look at the timeline, but yeah. So like
Truman, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So I get what you're saying, right? So it's interesting. And to your point, right? You're equating this to a Trumpian kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Trump doesn't scare me. There's a guy behind Trump right now that's in the shadows that we don't know yet. They haven't made themselves aware, but they are riding the Trump wave. They're right under him, right behind him, and they're quiet. I don't know who it is yet, but it's that person. Because Trump's only got 4 more years. There's nothing you could do constitutionally. Like the thing about January 6th, this thing, it's all I can go over this because I actually do like political breakdowns and stuff. And I'd love to talk about this. Maybe we can make this a podcast someday. But about this guy is being persecuted ridiculously. They're going to capitalize on it, but it's the guy behind him that's going to really gin up the people, the army. That's like the MAGA people. They're just as blind and, ferocious and like rabid as the pinko lefty commies, right? I mean, it's the same. It's the same energy, just pointed in a different direction, right? With a different.
You're right.
Trump's not dangerous. Trump is going to be pissed off, but he's not dangerous. The guy behind him is. There's somebody there.
The machine behind it. Maybe it's not one guy either. It could be
right. And Hitler. I mean, Hitler. Trump doesn't have the ideology of the way he can't use the government the way that Hitler used the government, because Hitler got a coalition and there's a whole other way, the way they set up their government. But remember, they had a 1 in 3 unemployment. I mean, it's bad, and it does parallel a lot of those things. But I'm much more concerned about whoever Trump deems as his successor or whoever fills that role. And my concern is that it's like Vivek, where I like Vivek, but he's smart. But I feel like power could get to his head, I think. And I think he can get to anybody's. And when you're smart, and then you get some power behind you, you're dangerous. And I like the guy. I think the possibility of a corruption's there, the mental power part.
Yeah.
So what are you guys' thoughts on it? Because you brought it up, Lee.
I think it's just, I think the machine is broken, or maybe not broken, but
the people working the machine.
Yeah, it's just, and people, there's so many things. People are so fed up of it that they don't want to take accountability. And then on top of that, when that happens, people become complacent. I mean, we talk about the government, right? It's not the government. It's our government. It's ours. We created it. We control it. We put the people we want in power. And people don't like to hear that sometimes. And my opinion is that inevitably we have to be responsible. And I don't know. That's about the extent that I think of it. And I mean, people see that people are becoming complacent, and then that's where the power comes in. Yeah. They utilize the complacency to get where they want to go.
Yeah, and narcissists and psychopaths find a real simple way. They wedge in there because politics has just allowed a certain type of mentality to really take over. Because we're busy working, so we're busy making the bills, paying the bills, and there's a type of mindset that goes, I can take advantage of this. I'll take advantage of your distraction to benefit myself and my family or whatever.
Yeah,
I see that. Yeah, it's unfortunately kind of come to that point where it seems like the corporations have kind of owned everything, and the system isn't working the way it should be, but I don't think the people are working the system the way it should be either. It's almost like, how do you blame the field for the crops not growing right? You know what I mean? Like somebody has to till the thing, somebody has to seed it and water it and tend to it, right? And get rid of all the vermin and all that stuff. So to your point, it is on us to do a better job on that.
What are your
thoughts, Scott? Any thoughts, Scott? Try to stay out of it.
No, I've got thoughts. It sucks. I think everyone's got their own motivations, and it's, as far as politicians go, for example, I feel like once a politician's getting started, for the most part, they usually have pretty good, maybe not good motives, but like what they believe is what they're fighting for. And
Right.
then the only way that they're able to stay in power, to stay in their position, is if they start listening to the people that are willing to pay them a little bit more and sponsor them a little bit more. And then it's just, it spirals out of control, and it stinks. It really does. And there's not much you can do about it either. Like, are you gonna put like a cap on how much money different people can sponsor different politicians? It's
Right.
That's what I've always
unfortunate.
thought. It's like
I've always thought of just taking the money out of it. Like no
take the money
commercials
out of it.
allowed, nothing. No commercials, no political commercials. Person wants to have a podcast or do something and promote themselves, that's fine, but nothing, no funded commercials on any
Yeah.
on any waves.
Something, I mean, people definitely need to see and hear what's going on, but you got to, like right now, if one of us were to run against any candidate, we would need millions of endorsements and dollars in endorsements. And that's just something that, you go back 150, 200 years ago, and people did have the ability to truly be at the lowest class of society and manage to
More influential, right?
run. Yeah. It was, even if it wasn't as equitable in terms of race and gender, it was equitable in a social or not social, an economical manner. And I think nowadays it's flipped to anybody can be in power, but the economics are at the center of that. And then you can dive into anything like how does the economy hold down different social groups, but I don't know.
Right.
Scott's
Yeah,
right.
it's a good point.
Sucks.
Yeah, it is kind of the point. It's funny because like politics has become very national. Like the House of Representatives is really your local representative, but it's become such a federally nationalized. Like the eyes of the nation are on you because of television and the way it's broadcast. So Marjorie Taylor Greene matters to me. Why? Like, help me understand that. Like, she shouldn't have that influence, nor should Nancy Pelosi. She should only be influential in her district and represent her district. But it's gotten so national that they glom them all together, and it's like little corporations working against each other.
Yeah. And truly,
yeah, it's an interesting.
I've thought about it before, and truly we don't feel the effects too much of federal changes. I mean, so I've worked in our local state government, Indiana state government, a handful of times throughout high school and college, and different lobbying and calling agency stuff like that. And that's where it really changes, and you see matters get taken into the people's hands, which I think is really, really cool. We had a
lot of people underestimate the power like school boards and the local.
Oh my gosh. Scott and I were just talking about this in Brownsburg, our hometown, how the school board. Actually, have you heard of Brownsburg in the news?
I can't. It sounds familiar, but I don't want to act like I know something I don't. So please educate me.
We had one of the biggest national, I don't know what to call it, maybe a scandal, with special education classrooms.
Oh yeah.
And how aides and teachers were treating special education students versus students in a normal classroom. And it was really bad, and it spread beyond just one person, and many people were fired. Some went to prison.
Oh wow. So it was like abuse and all that kind of stuff.
Essentially, one of the kids was at lunch, actually my old elementary school, and he was choking and threw up, and one of the aides forced the kid to eat his own vomit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you have teachers around the cafeteria that are videotaping, because, that's what everybody does now. You go to every big problem in the world. Like, look at no matter your opinion on George Floyd case, people whipped out their phones before they went to help somebody, and that's
there was
same
a
thing
woman
applies,
there was a woman in Philadelphia on a train getting raped,
and people
and
videotaped
they
it.
were just recording it. No one stepped in and ended up getting like a train guy, like 2 trains down, who was like a security guy, one of the conductor type people or whatever, to come up and get it. It's like, are you kidding me? It doesn't even compute. It doesn't. It makes no sense.
And so essentially, you have that, say 10 employees that videotape this, one that's actually acting on the student, and then that gets spread and spread and spread. So now you have like 70 employees that are considered, maybe not, I don't even know what the charges were technically, but an accomplice or a bystander. Right. And it was bad. It was bad to see. Now the whole school board has changed. Right. The superintendent had to step down. Our old high school, the administrators have changed.
It makes you wonder if was that an effect of some overall kind of, you're saying like the dissolution of things, right? Everything devolving over time, just people not staying accountable and everything, or was this like an incident thing? It seems like obviously it's a chronic thing. It got to this level where it got exposed, but it could have been a one-off too. But it's like, wow,
I don't know. It's weird to think the aide that committed the crime used to aid in one of my classrooms. So just weird to think about. And then like I used to be best buddies with a lot of the kids, at least in my year, and would be in those classrooms. It's just weird to think. I wonder what was happening when I was a kid and how I was being treated compared to them. And that it's very sad.
Yeah. It kind of makes you feel a weird guilt, and then you had nothing to do with it, right? It's like, how did I get so lucky, right?
More so, yeah. Like that kind of guilt, and also just, and maybe, I don't know how you feel about this, Scott, but we went to Brownsburg, and it makes the good people in Brownsburg tarnished, if that makes sense.
Forever. Just because of a few.
Oh, so it's like the bad apple ruins the bunch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That tarnished reputation or whatever.
Yeah. That's Brownsburg for you now.
Yeah, no, Brownsburg's got good qualities, but that.
Well, my girlfriend works in communication delay, so she works with special needs children.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, so I'll definitely have to look that up. Brownsburg, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, we got some other time. Time is all yours, gentlemen. Anything you guys want to share, talk about, or?
I'm kind of curious. So I've been learning guitar, and Scott has his reasons for not learning it, and I want to know more about that.
Yeah. Okay. Scott, hold on. Last time we spoke, Scott was the one a little bit more on the guitar, if I recall correctly. Okay. All right. So now it's flipped. The script has flipped.
Scott and I work together and all that, and we're also good best friends. But he's at IU and I'm at Purdue, so it's hard to hear like why aren't you playing anymore? What happened there?
Okay, so a guitar has strings on it. And one of the strings, I'm not good at guitar. Don't know what it's called. The little one, the really small one.
The thin one?
Yes, if you will. I needed to tune it because actually no, it snapped entirely. That's right. It didn't snap. Sorry. It was too tight, and I kept tightening it, and then it was my fault. I broke the string. So my dad.
Did it smack you in the face or anything?
No, but I did end up cutting it so I could take it off entirely, and I've stepped on the little pieces, which are painful.
Wow.
But yeah, my dad heard about it because I was brought it up, and like the next second, we got a knock at the door, and we got a package for just a bunch of replacement strings, because my dad plays guitar, and he's got really stubby fingers, and he's always pissed off at me because he's like, you got these long ass fingers, and all you do is play on your damn computer. So yeah,
well, you got keyboard fingers too.
Exactly. It's a useful skill, or useful trait. But yeah, he got me the strings, and then I was like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And then that weekend, he's like, I'm just gonna come down to Bloomington and fix them for you. So before I could say no, there's a knock at the door. My dad was here, and he's like, it'll be real quick. I don't need a YouTube video or anything, as most dads are. They take pride in their ability to screw things up without a video. So yeah, it took him about 5 minutes, and he's like, oh yeah, that's on too tight. Why don't you figure it out on your own time? And so yes, long story short, there is another, like, all strings are on there, and to an untrained ear, I guess it probably sounds all right, but I don't have a trained ear, and it's pretty bad. That's my excuse.
Tuning's a problem.
Oh yes.
And is there a chance you could tune it back or no?
Well, he cut it too short.
Oh, okay. So the string is just too short.
Yeah, and I do have another replacement string. I guess I could.
I thought you always cut it after you string it, don't you? Don't you string it and then like cut the excess off?
He's strung it, cut the excess off, and then he's like, I can make it a little tighter, and I didn't even question it, and here we are.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
So now, Lee, you're back. You're now into the guitar.
Yeah, I've always had a guitar, and my dad has always had an acoustic guitar, and I was like, usually I didn't want to play my guitar up at school because I have a roommate, and to get the amp out and play it, it's just kind of disrespectful of his space as well, unless he's at class or something. So I was actually on the Eclipse weekend. On my way home, I grabbed my dad's acoustic guitar, brought it up, and I started playing around with it. And then my fiance has a ukulele, so that's even quieter and like easier to fiddle with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I started messing around with like finger dexterity, and working on chords without even playing or strumming or anything. And then I decided, all right, I'm just gonna whip out my amp and sorry roommate, which I think he's totally fine with it. And it is so much easier to learn on electric guitar. I don't know why, but
it's
that
the strings.
Like, sparked my.
The strings are like still like half the thickness, yeah.
So
because the sound that you have to get the richness on an acoustic, it has to be a thicker, heavier gauge.
Yeah,
on
my
electric,
fingers always
pickups
hurt worse on acoustic.
Oh, yeah, it's always it's the thickness of it. You can, like, if you just look at them, just look at the thickest one and the thickest electric, and you're like, it's a pretty big difference between those two. Yeah, it's like the nylon strings on a Spanish guitar or something, like a classical.
Yes,
they're just different. Right. It's a different pushing and. Yeah, so if you can play an acoustic, you can play an electric, no problem. Usually people do struggle going from electric to acoustic because of that. Not struggle, but you know what I mean, like the fingering, just keeping the finger strength.
Pain.
Yeah. So I've developed really good calluses. And what I do now is I practice on the acoustic, and then I'll play on the electric when I want.
Very cool.
And then, I mean, there's so many other things. Like I love a lot of the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s rock, alternative rock. I don't know, whatever genre it falls into. But I'm learning a lot of George Harrison songs, and got to learn how to use a capo and like all the Beatles stuff. They decide to tune down the guitars like 2 steps. So you have to break your guitar and then.
Yeah. And then a lot of songs have a tuned down D. Just the D's a drop down D.
Yeah.
So like Rage Against the Machine has a drop down D. I think Tonic does a lot of drop down D stuff, and they're good like acoustic stuff. So.
It's been really fun though.
Very cool.
I used to play piano all the time.
Oh wow.
I used to play alto sax as well, and it's really hard to. Alto sax probably could have brought up to Purdue pretty easily, but I'm not just going to bring a piano up here. So guitar is awesome just to have and screw around and play music with. So I'm enjoying it. I want to get lessons.
All right, that's the next step then.
Yeah.
So you're gonna sell some more T-shirts and get some pay for those lessons.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
All right. So what kind of apparel do you guys have currently? What do you have? T-shirts, hoodies? What do you have out there?
I can. Am I able to share my screen?
You might be able to.
Let me give that a shot. I can show you the website.
Yeah, feel free. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
It looks pretty
I
dope.
think it's in the top right corner under view. I think. Oh, is there share screen bottom right corner? There it is.
There we go. Can you
All
guys
right,
see
there
it?
it is. Yeah.
Awesome. So this is our website, Offstage. So one of the coolest things, we started to use AI generated art, which is a touchy subject for a lot of people right now. But this background right here, I typed up a whole prompt, basically wrote of like a little narrative, 500 words, and threw it in here, and it created this for us.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, can you believe that a computer just makes that?
No,
It looks like a real image.
Yeah, it really does. It looks like just like a filtered, Instagram shot picture or something.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we got that, and then this is our mission statement here. Pretty
I
basic.
like it. Yeah, totally.
And
I think
then-
I love the concept because, like you said, to your point, is like, so you're wearing this. I don't want to say generic, but it's more of a broader musical interest, which really
Yes.
opens the door for the conversation.
Yes, I like that. We're gonna have to use that. There you
Welcome
go,
to
Scott.
it. I'll do all your promo stuff after.
There we go. Perfect. So here's our shop. So we've filtered a lot of shirts in and out now. These are what we have currently. So we did this for
Okay, cool.
Little 500. So it's a bike race at IU. It's Scott School. So that's
Cool.
that's our character right there. Spin.
Yeah, that's spin, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty. I don't know. Just feel like nobody else has something like that.
No,
So
it's
we were
a
excited.
totally cool thing because like people can relate to it for sure.
Yeah. And then that's the front. We kind of went for the streetwear music idea.
Yeah, I
Streetwear
like it.
popular right now.
Yeah, I can see the writing on it has that kind of like vibe to it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like a
definitely.
like a I don't want tagging kind of almost like tagging urban
Yes,
kind of.
yes. That was, if you look at our logo up there on top, Offstage, that's a graffiti tag. So
Okay, exactly.
That's where that inspiration came from.
Very cool.
And then we just made one for Grand Prix, which is a car race at Purdue. That all
It's
the
like
Oh,
a
engineers-
sweet.
ripoff, a knockoff little 500, I believe.
except we use real machines.
Did
can
you ever
the
see like
rivalry
the
come through.
24 hour of lemons instead of Le Mans?
Yes.
It's such
Isn't
an
that
awesome thing. Where I think your car has to be below either like $2,000 or $500, some ridiculously low number.
I think it's
You have to make
500.
the thing. I think it's 500
500
too, and then you can
Yes.
add all the pieces to it, but the car itself has to be like 500. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. One of my favorite YouTubers, Chris Fix. Do you watch car YouTube?
Okay.
He
Cool.
he built a like $500 lemon BMW into a 24-hour car.
Very cool. I love that. I saw one where they did a Corvair. There was one that did like made
Really?
like a front wheel. I think they did like was it a V8 Corvair that they put in the back? It's some crazy thing. They
Wow.
just totally just did something different.
That's crazy.
So anyway,
I love
yeah,
cars.
that's
I
really
love to
cool,
watch
man.
that
That
stuff.
shirt's nice too.
Yeah, that's the Grand Prix one, and then this is the music box tee. This one will probably
that's
stay
cool.
around.
I like that.
I like this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's that logo. Like that could be a secondary logo, the phonograph.
Oh yeah, totally.
Very
We,
nice, man. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Then we got our about us. So yeah, definitely check it
Very
out.
nice.
This is from this picture's from a disco
I saw
party.
that picture.
Yeah.
It's from what party?
A disco party that Scott had. So
Yeah,
we took advantage of that for our.
we had to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I like it.
There you go.
That's awesome, man.
I can unshare. There we go. Yeah, thanks
Well,
for
that is
letting
really
us
cool,
show it,
though.
because it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of work that we like Scott and I. Just this morning, Scott and I were working on Kittle to do some T-shirts and figure
Very
that
cool.
out. Constant learning.
We need to be proud of your work, man. You've come so far as like I wish I had the wherewithal to like you guys are able to put your head down and I'm gonna learn HTML or something, whatever you guys are learning. I'm like, I just want to talk to people, record it, put it out there and hit play. The SEO thing, I really should take advantage of. I just never did any of that other stuff, because it's like
Yeah.
everybody has different drivers for why they're doing it. And it's like, I wish I had a little bit more of a business or more of a goal oriented savviness to it. Cause I'd like it to grow, to talk to more people, you know?
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it sounds like you guys are come a long way, and it's cool to see the changes and that you're not afraid to make the changes, you know, even if it is a little later, you know, don't be afraid to pivot.
Well, wouldn't you agree, Scott? We were definitely pretty scared to make changes.
Oh yeah, every time we're scared. But
It
like
gets
you're
easier.
saying, it's early. Like,
But it's because you care too, though. Like there's a reason you're scared, is because like you get the butterflies, right? He's like, I don't want to screw it up. It's a different scare than like I'm gonna fail, right? It's more of like I don't want to lose what I have, but it's exciting regardless. There's still an excitement behind it, driving it.
Definitely.
Awesome, man. You guys have
Yeah.
anything else you guys want to share before we call it a day?
Yeah, I mean, why is it that why do you want to do Offstage, Scott? I'm curious. Like what gives your motivation? Like Mark, you were saying your motivation is you want to get your word out there and talk to as many people as possible, right? And
well, I
share
don't
as
even
many
want to get my
stories.
word out. I want to ask a question to a person that's talked to a million other people, but they didn't get that question ever. That's my pursuit. If you watch some of the there's some of the podcasts where I'm able to get the person, like you'll see an emotional response from the question I ask. Like there was a guy, the last one I did was a gentleman named Pinder Singh, and his last name's Singh, and he came across his faith, Sikhism, right? It's a type of religious faith. Well, it turns out like he didn't know about it. He finds it, and then as he researches and goes down the rabbit hole, like the fifth guru was like Singh, Singh, and like it's his last name. So like it just popped in my head, like, how did that hit you when you found out your last name is connected to this faith that somehow you came across? And like he had a visceral, like emotional. He paused because it like hit him, you know. And that's what I want to do. I want to be so curious that someone goes, you know, no one ever asked me that question before.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I just wish I could do something. I would love to monetize it, because I do have like 200 freaking podcasts out there, you know. It's just I don't know how interesting other people are in listening to what I find interesting, you know. So
they definitely find it interesting. It's just you got to break through. That's the hardest part.
Yeah. So why did you do it, Scott? What keeps you going, man?
I mean, it's obviously not money, because we are so deeply in the hole.
Well, you guys have a longer term plan. You guys know that'll turn around.
Yeah. In fact, we're
actually
closing
we're
in
getting
on,
close to breaking even.
Yeah.
He says it like we're deep in the hole, but $300, and then we're breaking even.
I guess that's
actually close. I don't know. We're kind of in the mix with our inventory right now. Sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
No, you're good. What keeps me going is the idea that we could fail at any moment, and I think a lot of people think we will. Specifically, my roommates. They're very supportive, but it's like it's almost like an out of pity support, and that I don't know. That's a bit of a grudge. I'm a little competitive, and I cannot let this fail. Like, it's fun, and to be able to have fun and succeed at something is like everyone's goal in life. So
yes,
gotta keep it going.
That's, until you said it right there, kind of what you were saying, Mark, just a second ago. I didn't think about that, and there is something where when I talk about Offstage to people, or like, yeah, I own a business and I'm in college and I run it with my best friend, since I've known since I was little, they're always like, oh, that's cute.
It's cute.
Like,
yeah.
Good for you guys. I hope it works.
A pat on the head.
Yeah. Like, oh, good job, kid.
Yeah. And then we go do stuff like this and talk to people, or we go sell on the street, or I get a text from somebody I haven't talked to in like 5 years, and they're like, I just saw your ad and I bought a t-shirt out of nowhere, or like people randomly on the street, and they're with their family, and like the parents want to buy a T-shirt, and all the kids are going crazy. I don't know. That's just stuff where it's like, okay, yeah, people think this is cute and pat on the head, but no, there's definitely there's something there.
Yeah, well, it is for you though. See, that's the thing, is like, this is your passion. It's not anyone else's.
Right.
Right. So like, it's yours to define. So that's ours to ask, right? What is the drive?
Yeah.
Have you guys?
Totally.
It just popped in my head. You guys should do. I was there, and do like a spin clips, like do a total eclipse where spin is the moon, and maybe moon's the sun or something. Like pulls down his pants or something. I don't know.
Let me tell you, we actually made a shirt like that.
Did you?
Yeah. We
took
it
off
off
the
the website.
sticker.
There you go.
Very cool.
You got the moon and then the sun in the
Oh,
background.
that is awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, guys. Great minds think alike.
So I wish
Very
we
cool.
thought about that about 2 months before the eclipse, but we were too much in the mix of figuring out what we were to getting set up. So, but it was fun to make the design, and Scott and I have we sold a few T-shirts. People liked them.
That's really cool. I like that you actually did it. I've got ideas that I never actually implemented. You know what I mean? So it's one of those regret things, right? Never regret. You only regret things you don't do. You can make mistakes, but you can only regret
exactly
what ifs, right? What ifs are the regret.
That's where so part of running business is spending money. You spend money to make money. And Scott and I have a hard time organizing that, I think is the best way to put that. So
budgeting and all that kind of stuff is really hard.
Yes. And then on top of that, like we try to use what we have already. I mean, that's one of the biggest things when you build a business. Use what you already have and do what you can. So I have a lot of softwares that I use for school projects and stuff that I have and Scott doesn't have, or Scott has something and I don't have it. So it's just that has become, we've had to like combine our brains to make a lot of ideas and imagery happen. And I mean, today was a big step. We made it a level playing field for us to both be able to design now. And hopefully we can get a lot of, maybe not content out for apparel, if that makes sense.
Cool.
So a lot more product out.
Nice.
Because I mean, my imagination is only going to go so far to communicate to Scott's, and Scott's idea of what is going to be good is, something's going to get lost in translation.
Oh, for sure.
And that has happened already. So I think today was actually a big step in separating that so that we can be individuals and a team. And I think that's going to help us grow a lot quicker. I don't know if you think the same thing, Scott, but.
Yes, we need more. Our website's looking dry, and to be able to work on merch separately it's going to help a lot.
That's really cool.
To some guys last night at the bar. Oh, it's Grand Prix week at Purdue, so going out every night of the week is kind of a normal thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's every night in Purdue. What else are you going to do?
Exactly,
right.
It's Purdue.
It's Purdue. And we showed him my website. He was interested, and he kept looking at the same 3 shirts because we only had 3 shirts on the website. I was like, damn, we definitely need to triple that soon.
Yeah, you need like 50 shirts. Yeah, just all different ones. And the thing is, like, at some point, I'm sure you're not going to have to worry about the demand piece because it'll be print on demand versus inventory kind of thing. And you'll have the logo. You just send them, do this one on a hunter green shirt. Boom, done, So
that's how we do it right now. We do print on demand.
Oh, okay, cool. So, so you just need like kind of the ideas and logos and all those pieces out there.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I would like to move to inventory when we have the opportunity. I think Scott would. I'm speaking for you, Scott, but I think he'd like to as well because we can control the quality a little bit better.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I think you have to get like, I did the whole T-shirt thing. I know like the Bella shirts and the Bella canvas and the other, the Nuva one or whatever. Then there's another one out there, and I went down that whole thing, and it's like, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I do like that. It's just there's a lot more to that when you do the inventory part, but it is an exciting challenge for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where we go.
Awesome.
I think there's definitely something there that we
Very
don't
nice,
know
man.
what's there yet either. But
well, I think you'll bring some music people together is what it is, you know. So you guys have any like plans to do like at concerts, just to have a table at concerts outside or anything, or walk like parking lots at concerts, or
Greta in a month.
Greta May 16th would be.
We're gonna try to. I don't know if we're gonna have a table. Maybe we should, actually plan this instead of the Eclipse thing. But like, we're at least gonna interview people, do street interviews.
Oh yeah, did you guys end up doing any of the street interviews? You guys mentioned that.
We focused on primarily just getting the word out there during the Eclipse, which is, we needed a first experience to do that. So I think we can gauge that now. But the hardest thing is, like, if we wanted to sell T-shirts at a concert, it's all inventory. I mean, it costs to get like 30 T-shirts. You're spending $700,
Yep.
And it goes, you buy 60, you buy 100. The cost per item goes down, but it's owning a small business is gonna be it's scary at the start, and like I said, you got to spend money to make money. So we're taking baby steps, and it's working. So,
right, and the biggest thing is you're taking steps. I mean, how many people are sitting there playing video games right now, not strategizing, their next move on taking over the world, right? Like that's the way you got to look at it.
You're right. Yeah.
Taking over the world.
Well, I'm grateful you guys jumped on for a call, man. I mean, I was really happy to be on your show. You guys mentioned something weird about the recording. You guys said something about the recording I shared with you, freaked some people out, I guess.
Yes. I think, I don't know if it was just, so what was I doing? I guess I was upstairs eating food. I usually am. And it was when you sent the email, like with all the links to the different recordings. I'm like, oh, I'll check it out. And I didn't have my earbuds in. I'm playing it. And then everyone's like watching TV and just slowly turning their head like, what is going on over there?
See, I listened to it on the car on the way to Florida. And everybody in the car was kind of like, oh. Yeah, and I had to explain it to him. So we actually listened to our entire podcast on the way down to Florida, and they loved it. Yeah.
Oh,
probably got some more viewers out of that, actually.
Man, maybe. I don't even know. It's funny. No one reaches out to me, and to your point, man, I don't have the SEO stuff. I internally, to your, like, the way you guys think is you guys know and are confident in what you can do. I'm confident in having a conversation with people. I feel really good, comfortable, pretty much talking to anybody about anything. If that could translate somehow into some eyes or some ears, I'd be really happy to have that happen, because I think people would be like, oh, that is an interesting thing to talk about X, Y, or Z, So, but we'll get there. But yeah, so like that, when you're there and then that thing, the static comes in, man. The first, when she handed me that disc and she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, I couldn't fix it. And I'm like, I have no idea what she's talking about, right? So I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, here. She puts it in and hits play, and that thing goes, you are there, and then all of a sudden starts freaking out. I'm like, hairs on my arm stood up. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know. It's like 2 hours of just gibberish.
Have you ever seen the movie Contact?
Yeah. And with Jodie Foster.
I need to rewatch it again, but there's a part like when after they built the whole spaceship time travel thing, and when you were having that experience, at least when I was visualizing it, I was like, okay, that's what it did.
It was like a portal, right, where it went to white noise for a bit, and it was just absolute noise, and then you kind of came back while this other stuff was going on. Yeah, and it's really interesting because I was lucid during the conversation. I could tell you the things I said, and it was weird what I was saying, but I remember saying it. I was just really relaxed. I just wish that it had gotten recorded so you could hear me say what I said to show how crazy I truly am. Now they just have to, take it from all the podcasts.
Your word for it. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so I'm so glad you could join me, gentlemen. I know you guys have some work to do coming up here. So Any
Yes.
final thoughts? Anything else you want to share? Or any, doors always open. Anytime you guys want to talk, feel free to
Oh yeah.
let me know.
I think
We'll
we'd love to
schedule a
talk
wrong
again.
time again.
Yes.
We can't get
no,
this
no.
time zone stuff right. I swear. It's on.
It's
I
difficult.
take full accountability, man.
No, it's on us
fault.
too.
All too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
hard. It's hard to get the. If only we could be on one time zone, right? That is
Wouldn't it
just
be
not how
great?
it works.
Yeah. So any parting thoughts there, Scott or Lee?
No, thanks for having us on. Check out Offstage, off-staged.com. We're gonna have a lot more apparel on the site. Let
nice.
music unite you. Yeah.
There
Yes.
you go.
Is that the slogan? Let music unite you.
I don't know. That's
It
not.
could be
How about
for
this?
now,
It could be
honestly.
a new one.
All right. Let's work it out. How about this? Music unites.
Music unites. Yeah, that'd be
Short.
good.
You can remember it.
Right now we
Yeah,
have.
it's even shorter. You know what I mean? Like versus like let music unite you is like a passive thing.
Mhm.
This is like an active thing. Music unites.
There you go. Okay,
So
we can put that on a T-shirt.
we can work on these all day, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Scott.
Well, thank
anything
you.
else you want to say before we call it a day, my friend?
Let me think of some wisdom real quick.
Some Confucius.
Oh, okay. If you're on the toilet, and this is a real thing, by the way.
Some people might be on the toilet right now watching a podcast.
Yeah,
You guys
exactly.
want to hear what? Do you want to hear what popped into my head before you said that?
Oh, jeez.
This is the
Maybe.
psychic part. I was just gonna say something like Confucius, man who stand on toilet high on pot. I swear to God, I was gonna say that. I'm not joking. That's like the toilet thing popped in my head. So please share, because obviously you had to share whatever it was.
It's not related to pot, but it is related to China, actually. So you know what a ghost poop is?
Nope.
It is
it's
where
you wipe and there's nothing on the toilet
Yes.
the toilet paper. Yes.
So anytime
Okay.
that happens, someone in China has to wipe twice as much. So just keep that in mind. Every time you're grateful for it, like there's always there's a balance, I guess I should say.
I have
Yin and yang.
a whole ideology around the poop.
Oh.
I've got names for all different kinds, and
Yeah.
there's the thing called the karma. It's the one where the next one, like say the first one's a ghost one, and you're like
The
grateful,
next
right?
one's the
karma one
shit.
is the one
Yeah.
that's just a mess. You're just gonna be there with a wet mop, sticking it all up in there. And anyway, all right, that was really bad to leave on, but all right, can we leave on something a little bit lighter than that? All right, so we've got once again we've got Lee and Scott from off-stage.com. Is that right, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Music Apparel, Let Music Unite You, or Music Unites, one of those. You've got Spin, and you've got Scratch, which is a chicken with a hat.
Chicken with a
Yes.
hat.
Yes.
All right. Well, you got to get one of those up on the website because I want to check that out. So,
I mean, we will
More
do.
coming.
We should be able to now. So,
Yeah.
well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining another Not Conscious. I'm going to hit stop here. Just stay on, but thank you so much. I'm really grateful that you could share your story with us and like all your victories, man. Share them with me. I love to tell everybody how you're doing.
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you again, guys. Have a great day. Take care.
1, 2, 3, 4. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must say, good night, sweetheart. Good night.